G'day everyone, VirtualConquer85 here, and welcome to the first tutorial on editing SEUS Renewed. Well, actually technically it would be the second one, as the first one was a joint effort with the rain lens effect. That was a joint between SEUS V11 and SEUS Renewed. This is actually the start of the whole new tutorial series on editing SEUS Renewed, and in this one we're going to be adding in some extra shader options. So in here we're going to be adding in a extra tab, and this is where we're going to keep all of our changes and things that we're going to be adding to SEUS Renewed. It is actually essential that you follow along with this one and add this one in. Simply because when we go to add extra stuff in later tutorials, such as lens effects and stuff like that, the line numbers will be changing, and if you're not following along with these, the numbers will be different for you. It's also good to actually have these shader options available within the actual game itself, so you can actually come in and turn effects on and off whenever you please. Okay, so if you follow along in the previous tutorial where we added in the rain lens effect, you would have already extracted the shader into a new folder, so it enables you to work on it. If you haven't watched that one already, I suggest you go back and do that one as well, because some of the line numbers will have changed. So the files that we're going to be using and changing today are final.fsh, shader properties, composite 2 and composite 3 fsh. Alright, so we're going to start off with final.fsh first, and we're going to come down to line 22. And we're going to hit enter twice, and on line 23 we're going to put in define vignette, which will be that effect that sort of darkens the edges of the screen when you're playing. This is what we're adding in here, is an ability to be able to turn that on and off. Alright, so from there we're going to come down to near the bottom to here. We're going to hit enter twice. I'm going to hashtag define that one there, and hashtag and if. And actually it's not defined, sorry, it's if defined. Now make sure when you write this in, to do it all in capitals. If you do it with a capital at the start and lowercase, you'll end up with an error. So make sure that that is written out as capitals. Alright, so we're going to come back up to the top. Go to line 24. Hit enter twice, back to line 25. We're going to call this one define night eye light. What this does is basically desaturate the colors during nighttime. And once we've done that, come down to line 600, and you want to remove these two lines here, and we're going to do enter, hashtag if defined night eye light. Come to here, enter twice, and end if. Right, so with that we can go save, and we're going to move on to composite 2. Alright, so you want to come down to line 48, and we're going to hit enter twice, and we're going to put in hashtag define water fog. And with that we're going to come down to line 1998. Around here. I'm going to hit enter, go back, I'm going to hashtag if define water fog, hashtag end if. Alright, we'll go over what a lot of these are going to do in a little bit. But for now we're going to continue on. So I'm going to come back up to the top and hit enter there on line 51. We're going to put this one in here. I will put a lot of these defines in the description down below, so you can just copy and paste these, so you don't have to type all this out yourself. Alright, now this is going to change the amount of waterfall density to make it, you know, thicker or not as dense. So with that, we're going to come down to line 994, so you can do Control G and do 994. We'll go to that one. And here we are going to remove the 0.5 and put in water fog density. Make sure you leave this little semicolon on the end. If you remove that, you'll get an error. Okay, so make sure it looks exactly like I've got it. Okay, once we've done that, we're going to come straight back to the top. Go to the end of this line here, the water fog, hit enter twice. And we're going to put in define clouds 2D. These are your 2D clouds in the sky. This will enable it to be turned on and off. So from there we can go do Control G. We're going to come down to 1964. From there we're just going to hit enter, hashtag if define did I spell it wrong? Alright, we'll just copy and paste that in, clouds 2D. Hashtag end if. Alright, you can always double click on these, go Control F and count to make sure you got 2. So it is the same as the one up top. And that will enable you to turn off the 2D clouds. Okay. Next, we are going to go straight back up to the top. Go to the end of that line, hit enter, and paste this line of code in, which is the clouds 2D coverage. Like I said, I'll have all this stuff in the description, so you can just copy and paste to follow along. You don't have to type this out. Alright, now this will increase and decrease the amount of clouds in the sky. And with that we're going to do Control G, and we're going to come down to 1434, which is your float coverage, and we're going to put in that one there, cloud 2D coverage, and that one's that. Okay, last we are going to put in this one, so Control C and water caustics. This will turn off the water caustics, the light shimmering on the ground underwater. You may want to turn that off because it will save you roughly about 5 frames per second with it. Alright, so with that we're going to do Control G and we're going to come down to 1877. Okay, come down to that line there, hit enter, hashtag if define water caustics, come to the end of this line, enter, just do backspace, hashtag end if. And that will enable you to turn water caustics on and off. So we'll go save and on to the final one, composite 3. So we're going to come to line 29 and we're going to paste in this one, which is for the water refraction. This will enable disable the Ripley effect when you're looking through the water. Just I always like to give extra options. You know, obviously most of these you might not even want to turn off, but the option will be there if you want it. So from there we're going to do Control G, and we are going to come down to line 1070. We're going to go back to this line, hit enter, hashtag if define. We want the water refraction, move that bit there, come down to that line. I always like to keep a space in between the bits of code, and end if. Okay, next one will be go line 30 and we'll hit enter, and this will increase how bright the stained glass will appear. So lower numbers will make the stained glass appear darker, higher numbers will make it seem brighter. So with that we're going to go Control G, and we are going to come down to 908. And we're going to replace the 2.0, make sure you don't highlight the semicolon at the end, and replace it with the stained glass brightness. Okay, next one, we'll come to line 36 and hit enter, and there'll be 2 lines of code for this one. Rain fog and rain fog density. So first we'll do the fog density, so we'll do Control G, and we want to come down to line 956. Actually scratch, that'll be 952, and we're going to replace this number here. Once again, don't highlight the semicolon at the end, and we're going to replace that with rain fog density. And then we're going to do Control G, and we're going to come down to line 1106. Sorry, 1096. So we're going to hit enter and enter. Enter once more, hashtag if define rain fog, which will be the underscore one, and hashtag end if, and that will enable you to turn the rain fog on and off. Now the next one will be for the atmospheric fog, which is the distance fog. We will put the define in a sec, but while we're already down here, what we're going to do is hit enter, back, and hashtag if define and atmospheric fog, then comes that line, enter, hashtag end if. Alright, now this will be in the description. You can just, you know, copy the line and put it in there. With that we're going to come up to the very top and hit enter twice there. And then within the description of this video you can copy and paste the define in. Then we do Control G, and we are going to come down to line 922. Alright, go to line 920, we're going to hit enter. And there's going to be a little bit of code in there in the description, which we're going to paste in there. Then come down to line 948, and we're just going to add in that extra bracket. what this does is disable the atmospheric fog when it is raining, because at the moment it's basically acts as like rain fog itself when it rains, which means if you turn the rain fog code off, it'll still be there. What that does is basically turn the atmospheric fog off when it rains, so you only see it during clear weather. Okay, so that's basically all of the added options that we're going to be doing for now. Alright, now we need to save, and we're going to add all this into the shader properties. Okay, so okay, so first we need to come down to line 11, and we're going to hit space, and we're going to do the 2 squared brackets, and in there we're going to do tutorial underscore options. Okay, so that will enable you to have another tab within the main menu that Sonic Ether has already set up. Right, so we come down to line 16, we're going to hit enter, and we're going to do screen dot, you can just double click that to copy and paste, and then equals. Actually, let's do this again. Alright, so we need to come down to line 11. And we're going to go space. And in the description of this video, there will be the tutorial options bit that you need to copy and paste in there. Then we're going to come down to line 16 and hit enter, and there will be an extra little bit of code that you can copy and paste in there, and that should be it. We can go save, we can bring Minecraft up again, you can go to video settings, you need to double click to reload it. And then in here we'll have our tutorial options. You can go in there, you'll have your water options, so you'll have your water refraction, water fog, water caustics, your lighting, so your night eye light, your stained glass brightness, your post-processing effects, your 2D clouds and the cloud coverage, and yes, there will be volumetric light and the volumetric clouds coming soon, but wait till the end of this video and I'll show you how they're coming along. Alright, once you are back in Minecraft, you want to go into your options. Now, I do highly recommend turning his temporal anti-aliasing and his motion blur off. Motion blur, you know, that is a subjective thing. If you like motion blur, you leave it on. But this one here, I have found that it causes a lot of blurring, especially off in the distance. It causes some weird artifacts with stained glass. I'll quickly show you that. You can sort of see now, like off in the distance, everything's looking quite blurry. I'm not a fan of it. When we go to add in our refract with the stained glass, the ripple effect in it, the anti-aliasing will cause problems with it. So I just recommend turning that off, and you'll just end up with a clearer image. Alright, so we can go in and check out our tutorial options. So water options, we can turn our water refraction off. And you'll see it's no longer all ripply. You can also come in and turn the caustics off. You can also turn the water fog off. But like I said, this basically turns it off completely, so it just becomes completely transparent. I don't know, it might be a thing that you want. I think when you do that, it does make it so you can see through like waterfalls a bit easier. So if we turn the water fog back on, it's just an option, and I thought, you know, perhaps maybe someone might want it. There is also the water fog density. This is mainly for under the water. So we'll come over this way. Okay, this is with the lowest sort of fog density down. If we put it back to default, this is what it looked like. You can also increase it, but your visibility becomes very limited. You can barely see that glowstone up there. So we'll put it back on the lowest, and there you go. Got a lot more visibility under the water. Lighting, we'll look at the stained glass. I think I've got that set at highest at 4. So if we quickly come over this way. Right, as you can see, this makes the stained glass appear like a lot brighter. Go back to 1, you can see how it looks a bit duller now. You can see that building off in the distance over there. So if you increase the brightness, that's what it'll look like. You can play around with the numbers, see what you want. So this is what it'll be like if you're undercover. 2.0 is default, that's what he's got to set up normally. Alright, next we have our night eye light, so we'll turn that off quickly. So this is what it looks like normally at the moment during his nighttime. And if we were to turn the night eye light on, it'll look like this. Basically desaturates some of the colours. So we'll look at the grass here. I'll turn that off. See how it appears a bit more green. I actually quite like this effect. Sort of gives off a bit more of a, what I think to be a bit more realistic take on the nighttime lighting. So we'll go back to daytime. We can come back in here, post-processing, you got your rain lens, your rain fog. So we'll change it to rain. Here you can increase the amount, so a lot more rain fog. You can turn it off completely if you don't like rain fog. Turn it back on. We'll put it back to default. Oops. And turn vignette off. And weather clear. Now with the atmospheric fog, he actually has it in here under atmospherics. So that's how much you can increase it by, so you can have a lot of atmospheric fog. I personally wouldn't have this much in it, but just for show. So you can actually turn that off now if you don't like it at all. There you go. Sorry if I'm racing through this a bit fast. I'm a bit strapped for time these days. That's why I don't do much of these tutorials. Anyway, 2D clouds, we can go in and turn these off. Alright. We'll quickly change the atmospheric back to normal. Because I know a few people want to get rid of those because they got other mods controlling the sky, so now this will enable you to turn the 2D clouds off. You can also increase the amount of coverage, so you can have it really overcast if you want. You can have just tiny little bits of cloud. Alright, there's some options you can go through and choose. And that's about it. Obviously you can change the rain fog density and all that. Now, two big things that people have been asking, and I did mention in my last video that it probably wasn't going to be coming anytime soon because it was going to need a recode to get volumetric light and the volumetric clouds back in. However, we've been very lucky that a member of the community has actually reached out to me, and basically it saved me a lot of time in trying to work out what was needed. I will put his YouTube channel down in the description so you can, you know, either send him a message and saying thanks or whatever. But what I actually want to mention, okay, so the thing is with SEUS Renewed is that he's actually removed a lot of his struts. Because before he used to keep everything within a strut sort of setting. Basically you have everything within here and you only have to cool on the surface strut to get what you need. Right, but now he's removed that. So before you could just do, you know, a void cloud, surface strut, surface, and then just put in the color if you need it. Now you're going to add in a lot of extra stuff. And I've always said that I'm not the best coder when it comes to stuff. This is one part that I never understood. Whenever I did do any sort of recoding that, the most I understood was that you know, I could call on the surface struct here, or have it within the actual code itself, and whenever I compiled it, the way I saw it is it would, you know, come to this part here and it will just tell the compiler, hey, whatever you need will be in the struct sort of setup. Now he hasn't got that, which means you actually have to identify and list everything that he's been using within this section of code. And trying to find that out was, I was getting close. There was a couple of bits that I was having a bit of trouble with, and luckily this YouTuber, and I'll show you his page in a sec, which is right here. Thanks to him, he reached out to me and has given me what I needed to get these things in. Looks like he's also done his own video on it, so you can go check out what he's come up with. He pretty much recoded, you know, fair bits of it as well. I've stuck more to the original code that I came up with for Continuum. So I'll show you that right now. And here we go. These are how the volumetric clouds are looking in SEUS Renewed. Now both the volumetric clouds and volumetric light will take a bit of coding on your part to get in. So I will be saving them for a little bit later down the track when I've got a bit more free time. But this is something that you can look forward to coming in the future. Alright, so this is what they look like at night. Make it rain, and that's what they look like when it's raining. Unfortunately, from what I've been able to figure out, is that they are quite taxing. You will lose at least 10 to 15 frames to get these volumetric clouds in. I'm not sure why they're taking so much. I've run the same sort of test on Continuum's volumetric clouds take between 8 and 10. These take between 10 and 15. It could be the way that he's restructured the shader. But anyway, that is the volumetric clouds. They'll slowly disperse. Now the other thing was volumetric light, which you can see coming over the top there, but it'll be most noticeable in here, and there you go. From what I've gathered, the volumetric light only takes off about 5 frames, so hopefully everyone will be able to use these. And the way I've got it set up this time around is that morning and sunset is when they'll be at their brightest. Right, you can sort of see them coming over the top. Go to night time. You can see the moon rays coming over top. So there. Now obviously I will add in controllers, so you can come in and change how strong these rays are at morning and night and daytime and whatnot. This is just how I'm going to have it set up as default. So yeah, this is something that you can be looking forward to in the near future. I'll end the tutorial there. Hopefully this was of some use to you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.